Pet Life Radio.
This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, you're listening to Animal Party on Pet Life Radio with me, Deb Wolfe, and I've got back one of my favorite guests, the dog expert, the world-renowned dog expert, author of Intelligence of Dogs and many others, many best-selling dog books, Dr. Professor StanCoren. Welcome to the show.
Woof.
I've had you on so much, I don't even have to read your byline. I know it off by heart now. So you know what? I was planning to interview you today and talk with you about whatever, bring up some interesting topics like how dogs behave when they're on steroids and whatnot, how medicine can affect behavior and things like that. But then I was researching for a different show, my defense of golden doodles and labradoodles, and that's when I spotted your recent article. A designer dog maker regrets his creation. So, well, unfortunately, I have to use the word Trump, but that trumps what I was going to talk about. And we're going to have to talk about that because, well, I've bred dogs since 2005, golden doodles, also standard poodles, and recently in the last 3 years, labradoodles. And I've always offered free lessons with all my dogs. And it's almost never required. They're so good. They're so trainable. They're so well suited to their new families. So I read this stuff, this guy who created the labradoodle, and I did go through his little article, the original New York Times article, with a fine-tooth comb highlighting all the things I disagree with. But I think he's off his tree. And the fact that he thinks, well, he says he tried 33 standard poodles and could not train one of them for service, tells me he could not have a job at Camp Good Dog. He must be the worst dog trainer ever. So I don't know what's going on here. I can train standard poodles to do almost anything, including service. And years ago, I had a long conversation with Bill Thornton from the BC Guide Dogs about that. And we both agreed that they're ideal for service. They're just not ideal for the typical training program designed for labs and goldens. Well, yeah, because they're smarter. But, they're so trainable. Think of the circus. They're so trainable. I've got a poodle detecting seizures for a little girl. I've got a poodle doing separation anxiety work for a person. Hanging out with this person who has PTSD real bad from really bad trauma. And another one that visits hospitals. There's no reason they can't work. So I put it to you, Stan, do you really think that poodles and doodles are a problem for service?
Well, he certainly thinks there's a problem. You have to understand, where he's coming from. He was the training director for a guide dog organization in Australia. Okay. And somebody came to him because they needed a guide dog, but their husband was highly allergic.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the kind of request I get often. I get these people who say, I want to visit hospitals, but I want a dog who won't shed to do it. Yeah. Fair enough, right?
So what he did was he said, there's no problem, right? Because, a poodle can do the job, and, I'll just train a poodle to be a guide dog. Well, he tried a bunch of poodles, and there were
33. 33. But honestly, last year I had 9 poodles born from a litter. I tested them for aptitude. I selected the ones I thought were good for service. There were 3 out of the 9. I trained all 3, and all 3 are successfully working. Like, this really isn't that hard, and that's a huge ratio. Normally you don't get that high ratio.
But yeah, were they working as guide dogs?
Well, one detects seizures for an epileptic child. That's pretty serious work.
No. I have no problem with that. Okay.
Yeah.
And my according to my own research, poodles are the second brightest dog in all of dogdom. So I expect that would work too. But that's also part of the problem. Okay, as to why they don't make good guide dogs for the blind. And the reason is that they remember. You see,
Yes.
the important thing for a guide dog is it has to, guide its person around and evaluate each situation, on the basis of what's going on right now. But the problem with the poodle is that it's too bright. It looks at the situation and says, hey, wait a minute, the last time I was in this situation, there was something which startled me. And so it starts to act wonky and hesitant. And of course, that reflects, that makes them less reliable as a guide dog. For service dogs, the handler is there and is guiding all the time. But for a guide dog for the blind, not so much. Okay, so if the dog remembers that this situation was, spooked than the last time, they're going to act spooky, and that's the kind of a thing which these seeing eye dogs, the trainers just can't allow it. So that's what.
Okay, but I do have to say this little girl that I placed, Joy, over on Vancouver Island, the child that she's working for was too young to be eligible for a service dog. By the time she would be eligible and then waitlisted and come off the list and get her turn, she would have graduated high school. She was unable to go to school without her mother because her epilepsy is so severe, and now she goes to school with the dog. So the dog is working. Like that's, I can't think of a bigger job, No.
As I said, I have no doubt that poodles can be service dogs. It's just, as in many such situations,
I think it's about cookie cutter training. You can't train a poodle like you train a lab. You just can't.
No. You have to fit the dog to the task. Okay, Look, I helped design the tests which are used for hearing assistance dogs.
Okay.
One of the things which we found is that if you use the same kinds of items that you would use for picking out a guide dog or a handicapped assistance dog or that sort of thing, you don't get good hearing assistance dogs. The reason is that to be a good hearing assistance dog, you have to be crazy, okay? You need a dog who is hypervigilant, with high activity level, who's going to go careening around your living space at the slightest sound. And so, and that's death for a guide dog for the blind or for a handicapped assistance dog. So you have to fit the dog to the circumstance.
Right. Yeah. The dog has to be good for the job. Like if he doesn't smell, he can't, if he's not interested in things and smelling things, he can't be a search dog. But if he is interested in smelling things, he can be a search dog. I get that.
Okay. And that's what Wally Conron found. He found that, in fact, the poodle just didn't fit that particular assignment. So then what he did, and it's, he's trying to solve the needs of a particular clientele.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, I get it, because I get the same kind of requests. I had a man with Parkinson's who wanted a doodle that wouldn't shed and wouldn't be afraid of his crutches and, different things like that. And I had to pick the right animal, the animal that wasn't scared as a puppy from the loud noises and the unpredictable way this man walked, right? And you got to pick the right dog, for sure.
Okay, and so what he did then was he said, okay, I've got, some tremendous working labs, and so let's cross the poodle with it and see if, maybe we get, two bright dogs, so you've got some good chance of getting a dog which is smart enough to do the work. But, let's see whether or not we get a non-shedding dog. So his first litter of these lab poodle crosses contained only one dog, which was really hypoallergenic. And in fact, he trained that dog up, and the client got the dog which it needed. But what happened is that people looked at these lab poodle crosses, and they made the presumption that all of these dogs would be not only smart, we expect them to be smart, and tractable, which we expect them to be, but also hypoallergenic. And of course they're not. In fact, it turns out that only about half of them in any litter actually test out as being hypoallergenic and don't shed the regular doggy dander. And so,
okay, I agree with that to a certain degree. I would suggest that all of them shed a lot less than a regular golden or a regular lab. All of them will be a lot less messy for a household. But the ones who are truly got that poodle coat, you can tell right away. Within a couple of weeks of them being born, they're curlier, they got a different coat. So a honest breeder says, these are the no-shed ones. These are not, right?
But now you have the reason why Conrad regrets creating the cross, okay?
Okay.
Because the vast majority of breeders don't.
Well, okay, and that I agree with. Totally agree. And yes, to sell them all as hypoallergenic and trained for service and therapy is ridiculous because, of course, they're not. But some of them will be. Some of them will be so exceptional.
And yeah, of course, some of them will be. But the point of the matter is they're not testing. And that's what what he complained about is, you know the reason why they got the name labradoodle, okay? Mm-hmm. Normally, there's a whole queue of people who are waiting to do the puppy training for dogs, which are later going to be service dogs. Okay,
right.
So they're the ones who take them into the house and housebreak them and take them basic obedience class and all that sort of thing. So when he had crossed, this lab and this poodle, he had this litter of dogs. And they now had to be temporarily homed. So the guide dog organization went to their list, and nobody wanted any of these dogs because they're crossbred, and they all wanted a purebred dog. Mm-hmm. So what Conrad suggested was do a press release. And in the press release, what you should say is, we have created a new breed of dog specifically in the hope that they will turn out to be great service dogs, and they are called labradoodles. And at that point in time, the phone started ringing off the wall. Everybody wanted one of these dogs. Well, the popularity of the breed eventually got to the point where you now started to have all of these breeders, some of them just backyard breeders, but some of them, commercial puppy farmers, which started producing these dogs. Not only did they produce them, not test them, but they made the claims that they were all hypoallergenic and that sort of thing. But they are selling them for, in some cases, 2 or 3 times the price of a purebred dog.
Yes. Do you know what? It's so frustrating because my poodles, I think they should be worth more. They're standard poodles, purebred, but people want the doodle more than they want the poodle, and I do understand why. I mean, I've fallen in love with the doodle too. They just, there's something about their retriever, willing to love everybody, easy to train. There's just something so amazing about that, and then less shedding and slightly smarter. And better memory. I mean, it's like Retriever 2.0. It's awesome. We're going to take a break and come back, and Stan's going to say more about this, and so am I. We're going to talk about cockapoos and multipoos and shih tzus, and somewhere in there, somebody decided to say that the puggle was a result of poodle cross, which is ridiculous. Got to take that out of there. Puggles are pugs and beagles. Nothing to do with this topic. But we'll be back on Animal Party Pet Life Radio with StanCoren, Dr. StanCoren, and me, Deborah Wolfe.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops. Get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Lico Chops Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dinovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, so this is Deb Wolfe. Hello. We're back on Animal Party Pet Life Radio. And I would like to say hello to Jennifer Anniston, Tiger Woods, and Neil Young, because we have something in common. Well, Neil Young is actually a distant relative of mine. But besides that, Jennifer Anniston, Tiger Woods, and Neil Young all own labradoodles. And so do I. Da, 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 da. So they could have any dog in the world they want, and yet they choose a labradoodle. And I know why. You know, when Dr. Coren, when I'm talking to people who come to buy them, often they ask me which ones are non-shedding. And I ask them, do you have allergies? And if they say, oh, yes, it's extreme, I say, you should put your name down for the poodle that I'll be breeding later in the year. They are not going to shed. I can guarantee it, 100%. But if your allergies are not that severe and you want a dog who just sheds less because you're going to vacuum less and things like that, then a doodle might be right for you. And oftentimes they say, we do have allergies, but they're not extreme, they're not severe. We would like the least shedding doodle. And then I show them the least shedding doodle. And those dogs won't shed. They won't. But I don't guarantee it the way I guarantee the poodles, obviously, right? But they won't shed. The curliest ones will not shed, and you can tell who they are. There's one right now for sale, a golden doodle born in August. His name is Curly, that for now. His brother Rusty will shed. Curly will not. And when people look at them and I tell them that, I say, well, Rusty will shed. He's the red one. And Curly, the curly one, he will not. But Curly is going to need professional grooming. You're going to have to spend some money on clippers or send him out. Rusty probably won't need much, maybe a scissor clip now and then. And sometimes they go for the one that's going to shed a little just because it's easier. It's still a lot less than a regular golden. So I just wanted to say that about the hair. I still find them amazing. And if you are looking for a non-shed doodle and you're not coming to an honest breeder, pick the curly one. Pick the curliest curly one. That's the way to go. Okay, so Stan, we were talking in the article. We talk about cockapoos and multipoos, and some of what he's criticizing to me is criticisms similar to those I've had before, like when the Bud movies came out or the Dalmatian movies came out, and all of a sudden everybody wanted to breed. All that kind of jump on the bandwagon, make the money fast people wanted to breed that breed, and they kind of wrecked that breed for a while. What was a really cool sporting dog became a really noisy, irritating dog, the Dalmatian. And what was a really wonderful, loving golden retriever became a dog plagued with epilepsy and problems. And that's because they weren't good breeders. They were inbreeding and just trying to max out on the money. So I see that happening with doodles, but it happened with those little guys. What are those little guys? Oh, I'm thinking Havanese it happened to, and it happened to, I'm just trying to think of them, the little stub-faced, tiny, I don't know why it's slipping my mind right now.
Not the Toulier.
No, more popular all over the west end of Vancouver. Tiny little...
French?
Yes, Frenchies, exactly. It happened to them too. So it can happen to any breed that becomes massively popular, I think.
Well, yes, but you have to understand that there's something else going on over here, and that is that a lot of people simply want a dog which is totally different, which they can say to everybody, well, this is a designer dog, and you don't see very many of these things. And for the, all the doodles, I mean, you have to remember the first doodle wasn't a doodle, it was a poo, okay, which is the cockapoo.
Well, even when I started breeding golden doodles, they didn't call them that. They called them golden poos. It's a pretty new breed. It's not that old, No,
but the point of the matter is that everybody wants these sort of designer dogs. And a lot of them are crossed with the poodles because people are looking for that hypoallergenic coat. But a lot of them are just nonsense. I mean, now you mentioned the puggle, okay, which is a cross between a pug and a beagle. Okay,
Yes.
so you got to understand, both breeds are very sociable, and I think in some respects the beagle may be the most sociable dog in the universe. But the point of the matter is, in terms of their working and obedience intelligence, I mean, the beagle is 7 from the bottom, and loving dogs.
Oh, pugs are no genius, though. Pugs are dirt
and
smart.
that's right. And pugs are in
Dumber.
the bottom, are in the bottom third of these things. So
Like, it takes you so long to teach a pug its own name. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That's right. So, and in addition to that, they have the great additional fact that they snore. So, I mean, why would one cross a pug and a beagle? I mean, obviously they were looking for a not very trainable dog that snores.
You want an escape artist with skin problems. That's why.
I mean, it to me, when I saw this emerging on the horizon, I was forced to laugh. I mean, like, oh my God, what?
Okay, so here's a funny one. What about the Bernedoodle? I mean, the hairiest, most shedding creature, gigantic, crossed with a dude. Like, you're going to get such an allergy issue. Are they nuts? That's not going to work.
Well, and in addition, you're going to get hip problems. I mean,
for sure. Yeah. Because the Bernese became so popular that, again, and what I noticed you said earlier in the show, which I liked, is you kind of made it as if there's a difference between a backyard breeder and a puppy mill. And I think oftentimes people use the term backyard breeder to refer to anybody who's not ethical. And I don't see why that would be, because the home where you breed 1 litter or 2, maybe even 3 a year, and you're devoted and your children are involved and some of the action is in the backyard, that's so much preferable to factory-style warehouse puppy mill. I mean, really. And in fact, now the puppy mills have got it where they broker out the dog. So you go to some nice little suburban family that never knew this dog, doesn't have all they've got is puppies for sale. You think the dog was raised there, but it wasn't. It was brought in from somewhere. And so it's really tricky. You definitely want to meet parents. You definitely want to meet relatives to this dog, see other puppies, check out the breeder, make sure there's reviews. I mean, in my case, because I have the boarding kennel, I'm licensed, I'm open to the public. It's an open book. We're voted best kennel in Maple Ridge every year, including this year. I've been doing it since 2005. I've got puppies still alive from my first litter. I mean, there's a lot to go on with me. But if you're in another part of the world and you're looking for a breeder, you should be able to call a vet that will talk about it. You should be able to call someone who bought a puppy last year, You should be able to meet an adult dog or meet some parents or meet some relatives at least. If that's not possible, then they're not being honest with you.
Well, but you have to recognize, Debbie, that you and I are very different when it comes to sort of the general public. I mean, when I lost my old Nova Scotia duck tolling retriever, my dancer, who, by the way, had he lived for 1 more week, would have been 16.
Amazing.
And I usually don't repeat dog breeds, but, I found myself that, I was missing him so hard that I just needed to have another toller. It took me close to 18 months to decide on a breeder and, which I was going to use, because I'm very careful to pick out the sire or the dam or both, which has the qualities that I want. And, and in the end, I feel that I got lucky. But of course, it cost me. It cost me in part because this breeder is very, very good. And one of the dogs of her breeding, took best in breed of tollers at Westminster Kennel Club. So immediately her waiting list, zoomed out across the nation, and her prices went up. So but she's also incredibly conscientious. I mean, she vets you and decides whether or not you're going to get one of her dogs, which was fine by me.
Well,
But-
it's the same for me. Like right now, I have a puppy that was bought by some people on Vancouver Island, but then they had some health problems, so they weren't able to collect him. And I decided to give him a lot of training. So he's learning things. He's a golden doodle. And I have a few pups born in August and a couple of labradoodles for sale. But I already have a wait list for next year. Like they're people who have met the parents or have dogs from me before, and they're committed because they know how good they are. The other thing is, and just to finish up this topic of doodles, with every dog I sell, I offer free training. They hardly ever take me up on it. They often text me things like, what do I do when, or how he hasn't pooped yet, what do I do, in the first week, or they'll send me pictures of the dog dreaming and say, is this okay? And yeah, that's a dog dreaming, this kind of thing. But normally they don't need any training, and they go on my YouTube channel and they get all the tips they need, and it's free. So, I mean, they could take me up on it. I also offer, if they ever don't want their dog, they can just bring it back, and I will retrain it if it needs to be retrained and find it a good home. And that rarely happens too. So, I mean, these are really, really excellent dogs and easy to train. I noticed in his article, there's somebody quoted some groomer talking about how they have separation anxiety. And that's just not true. That, if you take a dog and you show it right away in its new home that it's safe when it's alone, and you go out a few times a day when it's a puppy, and you keep that up over and over, and you don't fuss over hellos and goodbyes, and you make sure its needs are met before you leave it, and, gradually you increase the time it's alone, you will not have a dog with separation anxiety. I've never had any doodles where they call me with this problem. Never in all these years. So that's just not the case. So I just wanted to say that.
You've had them call you and say, I don't understand why this dog won't housebreak, and you have to say to them, yes, but it's only 10 weeks old.
Well, I have, it's really, really easy. Sometimes it's remarkably easy because poodles really, really try to figure out what the rules are and get it right. And so I find many of the doodles are like this too, where I get people saying, he never had an accident, or they'll ask me, was he house trained before we got him? And I'm like, no. And he seems to be, this kind of thing. But there's also when the dog's the first 2 days at home, it's not sure where it's supposed to go. And so a lot of times it won't go at all. And they're worried. They're like, he hasn't pooped yet. I'm like, just take him outside again. Take him out. Get another dog's, sample and put it somewhere, and that'll help him know where he's supposed to go, right? Usually the main problem with house training I find with families is if the dog is taken out of the crate or the confined area in the morning by small children, that is the issue because they don't let it out. If an adult takes the puppy out first thing in the morning all the way outside and it pees and then the kids get to play with it, things work out great. But if the kids get up first and let the dog run around, then we have accidents. So that's really the critical thing I see in the difference between those that get it easily and those that have to work on it for a few weeks.
Well, the house tracing issue is something which every now and then I run into. Somebody wrote me just recently. If you remember my ranking of working in obedience intelligence for dogs, the caboose was the Afghan hound. I mean, they're gorgeous, but they're really difficult to train. And a person wrote to me and said, I just ran across your intelligence list. I wish I would have had it before. I got an Afghan hound. And he said, it took me 3 years to housebreak him.
Oh, my gosh.
And the man who we were talking about, he works for a humane society.
Oh, I wish he'd called me earlier, We're going to go to break, and we're going to come back and talk more about this on Animal Party Pet Life Radio. Stay tuned.
It's designerpetsweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit designerpetsweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Your pets will stay warm for the winter and be runway ready. Large or small, we fit them all. designerpetsweaters.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello! We're back on Animal Party Pet Life Radio, and I'm just hearing about a dog. I hear about this all the time. Someone will come for training, or they'll come to board their dog, and they'll say, by the way, we have this issue. And I'll say, well, how long has he been doing this? And they'll say, 4 years. And I think, look, call me in the first month. Come on. 3 years to housebreak a dog. Probably if he had put the dog on a long lunge line and around his waist in the house whenever it was free and loose, then he would have noticed when it had to go, and he could have run outside, made a big, fun, silly party of it when the dog did what it was supposed to do, and he probably could have got this covered earlier. I find hound dogs, they like a bit of a celebration. They like a bit of hoopla. So that could have worked really well for him. But he didn't call me.
He's in Boston, darling, so I don't think he's going to call you.
He could on radio. No problem. Oh, come on. Yeah, that's what Facebook's all about, and the internet and everything. I'm reachable. If you're out there somewhere and you have a really hard problem to solve, just get a hold of me. There's my YouTube. There's my Facebook. Camp Good Dog Facebook has pictures of these puppies I've been talking about, by the way. And so what I decided to do was train a couple of them. I'm going to give them more and more training till they sell, and the price will go up, of course. But right now, they are available. There's one golden doodle born in June, 2 labradoodles born in June, and 2 golden doodles born in August. Although I do have showings today and Saturday and Monday, and I mean, people are coming, so they're all going to go. But if anybody's still here, they're going to get more and more training, because I really like the idea of one of the non-shed ones. There's 2 of those, Curly and there's
Rusty.
2 golden doodles that are no shed. No, Rusty sheds. There's 2 golden doodles that are no shed. Victor, because he was supposed to go to Victoria, so he got that name. Victor and Curly. And there's 2 labradoodles that won't shed. One of them looks like Chewbacca. He's gorgeous, big brown guy. Anyway, I would like them to be reading assistance dogs, because they would love to be read to. They really would.
They shouldn't look like Chewbacca. Do you know who Lucas designed the face of Chewbacca after? It's after his Bouvier de Flandre.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
That's supposed to be the face.
Well, it's more the color. He's this brown and orange and shaggy kind of curly mess of hair, It's more that than the face. But yeah, I do love a Bouvier. I love the dogs that are so unusual like that. Boxers and Bouviers, the way they play on 2 legs, like standard poodles. It's like watching reindeer in the snow. I just love watching them play.
The dog of my college years was a boxer, and was also the only female dog that I ever owned. And she had a problem, and the problem was that she was small for a boxer, only about 55 pounds. Okay. And but she was exactly the right height to hover over a coffee table.
Oh, yeah.
And she loved bourbon. And
you
couldn't put a glass of bourbon down over there. If you did, and turned away, you'd hear the clinky of ice cubes. And the thing about it is she was only 55 pounds. So, she took this one drink, and then, the way the dogs circle around a couple of times before they lie down, she'd walk into the middle of the room and just topple over.
Oh, no.
Snore.
See, I have a dog, a blue heeler, that loves coffee. And my old blue heeler, like you, I thought I would never repeat breeds. And then I found myself driving along and I would see someone with a blue heeler and I'd be like, why does he get to have one? And I'd be almost tearful, right? And I'd be petting other people's blue heeler. I was like, okay, enough's enough. But I didn't go look for one. Both my blue heelers were complete total rescues as adult dogs. But I like to do that. I like to rescue dogs. And when, because it part of the reason I sell Doodles and Poodles is so that I can rescue Rocky the Lab and Rally the Shepherd and, rehome them and train them, putting the lab, get them into a good situation. And so one pays for the other. It kind of all works together. But yeah, I think he likes the coffee, and he'll actually spill my coffee to drink it off the ground, or if I'm not careful, he'll get at it in the car. I have to, if I stop anywhere, because he's very clever with his tongue, I have to take the coffee and put it on the roof of my car because he'll get in there somehow. Terrible habit, little brat. Oh.
Well, I have a friend who occasionally gives his dog a little bit of beer in a saucer, and I was over at his place, and he took a saucer and he poured some beer in it, and he said, it's for fetch, and I said, okay. I said, do you want me to put it down for him? He said, oh, no. He said, we have to let it sit over here for about 10 minutes. He said, he doesn't like the bubbles up his
Oh, my God. Okay, so I should say, because we are on radio, we're not recommending that you give your dogs alcohol, right?
No.
And we're definitely not recommending you give them coffee. Certainly not chocolate. There's things we like that they really shouldn't have. Anything that you wouldn't want your kids to have, any of your little vices or habits, like, for example, now in Canada, marijuana is legal. Don't let your dog get at your stash, especially if it's edibles, because the pot and the chocolate together, oh my gosh, that's a recipe for problems and huge vet bills. And he doesn't know. He thinks it's food. Why not? Or he thinks it's important to you because it smells like you. I've had dogs eat pairs of eyeglasses because they smelled like the owner and they seemed important to the owner. They'll do kind of strange things sometimes.
Yeah, and you're talking about things the dogs shouldn't eat. I mean, we're approaching the holiday season, and right now lots of people are bringing the poinsettias into the house.
Yes.
And for some reason, dogs, are very much attracted to the scent of these things, and it is really quite caustic for a dog. So don't let them chew on that either.
No. And, okay, so while we're on it, I'll just go through the whole rundown before we finish the show. Make sure your Christmas tree is anchored. Do not use chemicals in the base of it. This is if you have cats or dogs. You can use sugar water and reboot it or Gatorade, something like that, but don't use the chemicals that could kill your cat or dog. Anything on the tree should not be edible, like popcorn or inviting to animals. It should not be glass or breakable. Any edible gifts should not be placed under the tree or used as decoration. They should be taken out right when they're about to be given. If you can't follow all those rules and you want to decorate your tree with tinsel and glass and maybe candles and chocolate, that's okay, but then it has to be in a room that you can close off so pets don't get to. Really, really watch the burning candles. I know that, like for Jewish people, Hanukkah candles, you have to light them and let them burn all the way down. So you might want to choose birthday candles so they go quickly. You might want to, you just don't leave the cats with those candles. I don't know why, but cats love flame. And they don't seem to realize that their tails catch on fire. And then they run through the house. So it can be a real problem, cats and candles. So be really, really careful this year. Wrapping and tinsel, cats will ingest it. And then, again, big vet bills. The same for the gravy. It's okay to give your dog a little bit of turkey or whatever kind of treat that you've been eating that night, but you definitely don't want to binge him on the fat. You don't want him getting into that broiling pan and eating a whole lot of gravy and foil and God knows what at the end, because that can really, really, well, it can kill him actually. So watch out. That's probably the most common thing Christmas Eve over the holidays. And vets are really busy. Emergency clinics are really busy. Keep the numbers handy. Keep your dogs on leash. And hopefully you won't need to see them. Another danger this time of year is antifreeze. If you're traveling anywhere, keep your dog on leash at gas stations. You don't want him licking even a drop of it. A very, very small amount can kill a large dog. So watch out for all that. I want you all to be safe. And if you're looking for what to give this holiday season, I did do a show last week with Stacy Mantle, and we ran through some of the best pet gifts and pet sites for treats and food and beds and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, thank you for leading into that for me, Dr. Coren.
Well, let me just give.
Can you add some?
Your listener one little trick, okay?
Okay.
And that is, if you're decorating a tree, it's all flashy and very attractive to the dogs. A really simple trick is to use your exercise pen and put it around the tree. And that keeps the dog away from it. You get to see it.
I see what you mean. The X pen, the cage, but not. It won't work for cats. Everybody, cats jump over.
No, cats are different. Cats you can't put tinsel up because it then kills them because they get it in their intestinal system. No, we're talking about things that say woof in the night.
Well, cats are also susceptible to the poinsettias and the lilies. And so if, watch it, make sure the plants and flowers you pick are not toxic to your pets this time of year.
And there's some hidden ones which people tend not to know about. Anything which is sulfur cured, so you can't give them raisins.
Right.
The sulfur in there does bad things to their blood. And certainly not maraschino cherries.
And not grapes. Not grapes for dogs.
Not grapes. Yeah, that's in that list. And of course, then there's some veggies like onions and garlic. But of course, a little pinch of garlic does wonderful things for a dog.
Well, if you're ever wondering what's good, what's not good, what you could add, what you can't add, if you look at the best, most expensive dog food brand you can find, maybe you see it at the vet's place, and you look on the back and you look at the ingredients, those things are okay for your dog. They've figured it out. So if it says on there carrots, beets, beef, cottage cheese, eggs, these are the type of things you're going to see on there. Yogurt, you're going to see meat of all kinds. You can see beef or chicken or duck or potato or sweet potato all the things you see are not a problem for dogs' digestion, or they wouldn't be in there. That's an easy way to do it. Another way is to go online, but make sure the sites you're on are veterinary sites, because a lot of people claim to know what's good for dogs, and they're off their rocker. So you want to make sure you get the right stuff. And these expensive brands have been formulated with veterinary help. So that's why I suggest you go there for the easy list. But if you're finding you're going to go on a holiday and you've got a quart of yogurt in your fridge and it's not gone bad, but it will go bad while you're on your holiday, you may as well give a few spoonfuls to your dog on top of his kibble tonight. It's good for him. It's not going to hurt him. It's in his food anyway. And, why not give him something that isn't dehydrated and kind of dry and tasteless? Why not, right? Just not for begging, not for rude behavior. You can, whenever you give a treat your dog really loves, like apples if he loves them, or bananas, or sweet potatoes. Some dogs really love these things. Just make him work for it. Make him come, make him sit, make him lie down, make him do stuff. Then he'll be a great dog, and you'll be feeding him well. Yeah.
You remind me of an interesting story. Somebody contacted me and said they had just gotten a Malamute from Alaska.
Okay.
And it was a puppy, and I said she said to me, it's just not eating. I put down kibble and that sort of thing, and she said I can't get it to eat. Well, it turns out that, in Alaska, they just give
hunks of fish.
Yes,
raw fish. I knew it. I could tell.
Mostly frozen and that sort of thing. So we eventually solved the problem by having her take some tinned tuna and sprinkle it over the dog's kibble and moisten the whole thing. So
nice. Worked. Yeah, eventually you probably wouldn't have to do that anymore once it figured it out. And tuna is not a good food for cats as a regular thing, just to add that in there. It's okay occasionally, but you don't want to just be feeding your cat tuna like some people do. But that makes sense to me. And there are treats made of salmon skins and things like that she could try too. Whenever somebody tells me, and I get this often at Camp Good Dog, someone will come with this really fancy dog and they'll want to show me the papers and they'll be like, oh, and I bought him from Germany, or I bought him from Hungary and I had to wait 3 years. And I mean, yeah, good. But it means that the Hungarian breeder selected the one that he was least proud of to send on its journey. Right? Because it won't come back. Yep. And then it went on a journey that was really not very pleasant and could ruin any dog, probably, if it was onerous and difficult or timed at the wrong time of the dog's development when he's learning to fear things. So really, could you have bought a better dog here? Probably. Yep. And you didn't meet the parents and you didn't see anything. You saw a website. How do you know what's really there?
I don't ever purchase a dog from a breeder who is not within easy reach because I like to see the breeding set up and meet the parents, first, and I like to be able to see the puppies when they're 6 or 7 weeks of age. So.
And even meet, other owners or previous buyers or examples of the offspring before, or if it's a first time litter, get references about the breeder or like something. Just don't go blind because you're going to have this dog for 15 years. I had people buy a Doodle from me last week. And at the end of the whole thing, as they were walking up to the car, the lady said, I'm so relieved because you don't know what we went through. We rescued a dog, and I think it was from Mexico. I'm not sure. But the dog came over, and it was supposed to be healthy, but they knew right away it seemed to have a fever. So they took it to the vet. And this is a family with like little kids. Within 3 days, the dog died. Right? Now, that's totally the fault of the rescue organization and the vets at the airport and all this other stuff. But I can't tell you how often some of these imported rescue dogs come with very difficult to treat, unusual here problems, health problems. Mange or some kind of skin issue that just drags, and the vets are trying everything. And it's just, there's dogs to rescue here. So I would really suggest to people, I have one called Rocky. He's a lab cross. He's 4 years old. His owners recently had some health problems. He's in his 80s. Rocky needs a good home, and Rocky's a great dog, right? So, if you want Rocky, call me at Camp Good Dog. Really, that. It's that easy. And he won't come with all these exotic health problems. And he will come with some support from the owners, from me. So, there's good dogs out there, lots of them.
Yep. And there's a lot of good breeders who can locate, locally. And if you've got, there's a very simple trick. If you know what breed of dog you want, there are, the specific breed clubs in every state in the States and in most of the provinces in Canada and that sort of thing. And the real trick over here is some of them will have somebody who is, in the club who's responsible for contact to breeders. But in most instances, you just call or email the club secretary or the president. I like to call them. And you will get more information about the availability of dogs who are already on the ground and which breeders to trust and all that sort of thing. And the issue is not a paucity of information, but it's eventually sort of, choking off the flow because these people are dedicated to their breeds.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you're looking for Doodles, though, that won't help you because they're not registered, so you won't be able to find them in the breed clubs. But like I was saying before, you can look for things like in my case, I am open to the public. I am licensed. I do have reviews. I do have long-standing customers from litters from as far back as 2005. I do have a record with all the local vets, like this kind of stuff. They should have some kind of presence you can check on. You should be able to Google their name and find something great about them and lots of great reviews and happy people and pictures, not just their own website that they kind of made to show you how great they are, but something else. Look at them from outside the box and see what you see. You may come up with articles you don't like. You may come up with charges against them. You may come up with all kinds of stuff. So, look for it. And again, the big thing is that mama dog. If she's wonderful, then she's going to teach them to be wonderful. So that's a big, big, big part of it. A huge part of it. I'd say the biggest part. If she's well cared for, healthy, happy, friendly, social, doting over puppies, that is really huge. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Conron?
Oh yeah. I mean, I always feel that if you've fallen in love with the mom, then you're going to fall in love with the pup. I mean, it's that simple.
Because it's not just her half contribution of genetics. It's also that she is representative of how well she and they and the male were taken care of. And also, she is not just passing on genetics. She's teaching. He's gone. He's not really involved in the teaching. So it's about her teaching them what to like, what to trust, what to bark at, what not to bark at, all that kind of stuff. To be gentle. That's her job.
Yeah, and and if you've got a choice between, two different litters, you always should pick the larger litter because that's the litter in which the dogs have had their maximum chance of social interaction with all their litter mates.
Well, and that was something that stood out about this labradoodle thing. This guy that bred the one for service, and then he only had 2 left to place. Well, why were there only 3? That's very odd. I don't know. My litters are 8 to 10. It's a bunch of things. 33 standard poodles, but not one was successful. Come on. Really? Like 3 out of 3 for me. I don't know. That was just that one litter.
No, Deb, you got to remember they were not successful
as seeing eye dogs.
For the blind, that's right.
I still think epilepsy detection for a little girl is pretty high up there. I think that dog could have been a seeing eye dog for the blind. It's not like, it just comforted people at the airport. I mean, which is also a job, don't get me wrong, but this is a big job. Big job. Always on the alert for the seizure. Big job. Keep her safe in traffic if it happens in the middle of the road. Big job. I don't know. I don't want to minimize that job. That little 45-pound poodle has a gigantic job,
Look, I have trained a number of dogs like Jack Russell Terrier to be hearing assistance dogs.
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
I would not pretend for a New York minute that I could train that dog to be a guide dog for the blind. So,
oh no, I don't think I could train it to be a blind dog. I think Bill Thornton could. That same puppy easily. It was, oh man, that was a good dog. But okay, if you're interested in Doodles and you love them like I do, you are not alone. Apparently, the Facebook site for people who love labradoodles, let me get this number right. I think it's in the thousands. 27,000 likes on I Love My Labradoodle. So it's not just me, and it's not just Jennifer Anniston and Neil Young and Tiger Woods. It's 27,000 other people on that one site. I'm sure there's like Labradoodle Love site and all kinds of other sites. Never mind the Golden Doodle site. So if you want to see cute golden doodles and labradoodles playing on my farm, check out Cam Good Dog on Facebook. If you want any of the training tips I've talked about today, then you can see me training dogs and do it yourself. Just watching. Deb Wolfe YouTube is my channel, and it's brand new. So I'd love it if you subscribe, because it's so new I haven't even made a request there for people to subscribe. The more you subscribe, the more new videos I'll post. So there's everything there. Come sit, stay, heal, house training, and then tricks and games, and go find the car, and go find the ball, and go find the child, and hide and go seek, and all that stuff. So check it out, Deb Wolfe Pet Expert on YouTube. And Dr. Conron, would you like to give out any information about maybe an upcoming book or where they can look for you?
Well, the best place to find me is that I have a website, a blog site on the Psychology Today site. It's called Canine Corner, and it actually just recently won the Maxwell Medal of Excellence for the best educational blog on dogs from the Dog Writers Association of America. So if they want to find out the newest stuff coming out on dogs, It's a site where you get to see the latest science on dogs, and it's written in a way that real people can actually read it and understand it.
You know, that's kind of not your first Maxwell, right?
No, it's
because with me, I got a Maxwell way back in 1997, I think, and you were my guest on that show.
Yep.
When I won Best Pet Radio in America. I won it 3 times, but one of the shows I won it with, you were my guest. So you're not new to the Maxwells, and neither am I, but it's always an honor. Dog Writers Association of America, they only give those awards to the best stuff. So check out Canine Corner with Professor Dr. StanCoren. And thank you so much for joining me again today. I'm sorry if I was a little bit aggressive in my defense of the best dogs on earth, the poodles and the doodles.
Well, I expect that when I see you the next time, you're going to give me a hug, and that'll make up for all of this.
I'll give you a hug, but I might have a doodle with me.
That's okay. I'll pet you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been great.
All right. Take care.
Okay, everybody. So, from Dr. Professor StanCoren and me, Deb Wolfe, and from Animal Party and Pet Life Radio, be good to your animals.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.